I'm Jay Herratti. I'm the Executive Director of TED, and I'm excited to be here. Many of you know me as the Executive Director of TEDx. I've been leading that initiative for 7 years before I took on this new broader role. And so being here today to celebrate and help all of you get behind the TEDx Countdown Initiative is very special for me. TEDx, in case you didn't know, is an initiative of TED conferences. It's one that empowers anyone, anywhere in the world, to create gatherings that bring people and ideas together. And in this case, we're looking for ideas on how to fight climate change. We have a really fun hangout for you that the team has put together. It's packed with action and a lot of info, so get ready for that. We're first going to give you an overview of the Global Countdown Initiative. Then we're going to talk about your participation, why it matters that you join us, why it matters now more than ever, and what are the steps that you can take to have your own TEDx Countdown event in your own community or your own organization. So that's a simple agenda. What's Countdown, why you, and what are the steps to do it? But we certainly don't have a shortage of exciting things. We have a panel and we have interviews. We have lots of slides. We're going to have Q&A. You're going to leave here feeling really good about all this information. And I'm lucky to have with me a co-host today. With me is Lindsay Levin. She's the founding partner of both Leaders Quest and Future Stewards. Good morning, Lindsay.
Morning, Jay. Morning, Jay. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I'm so excited to be here with you all. So before we dive in, let me share what is Countdown for those of you who are wondering. It's a global initiative that is designed to accelerate solutions to climate change all across the world. It's about championing, accelerating those solutions. The goal to build a better future by cutting greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030 in the race to a zero carbon world, a safer, healthier, and fairer future for everyone. Last year, on the 10th of October, 10/10/2020, we hosted a virtual event to hear from leading thinkers and doers around the world what a healthy future can look like. We had brilliant examples, stirring examples of real progress underway and reasons why this is the moment to act. We also had, thanks to many of you on this call, hundreds of TEDx Countdown events that took place simultaneously across the world, and more about that in just a moment. Building on those ideas, building on what we did in 2020, in 2021, we have a very exciting program, working with partners across the world to share real solutions and inspire much faster action. It starts with a summit of 1,000 leaders in Edinburgh, Scotland, in October. That will be amplified by hundreds of TEDx events across the world, and that's where all of you come in, and a special global live stream. All the events will combine talks, case studies, interviews, and whatever creativity you choose to bring to celebrate efforts that are underway and the people who are driving them. Back to you, Jay.
Thank you, Lindsay. And you know, when I think about the climate, the challenge of climate change as a whole, it can be so hard to feel hopeful or optimistic because it's such a big challenge that for individuals like myself, for those people that you know, like all of you and your communities, it's hard to feel like we've got agency over it, which is why I'm really excited about the Countdown Initiative. It is meant to be, it's designed to be hopeful and solutions focused. Our TED curator, Bruno Giussani, he's been canvassing the globe for groundbreaking solutions that if we deploy them correctly, they can fix the problem. And I know that as TEDx curators, you have the opportunity to amplify those ideas or also to discover your own. That's how we're approaching this entire initiative, Countdown, to think of climate change as something that is a fixable problem. So let's just get on with it. Okay, so in just a little bit, we're going to tell you how you can bring these ideas from the TED Countdown stage to your communities. But I want to step back and zoom out for just a minute and tell you a little bit about TEDx. Each TEDx Countdown event is one vibrant piece of a larger global mosaic. People, artists, thinkers and organizations around the world are working on climate change solutions. And our initiative, the Countdown Initiative, is proud to work alongside them. So Lindsay, can you tell us a little bit about how this is going to work?
I can, and let me start by saying what I think we all know. I mean, climate change is the biggest challenge humanity's ever faced. It's incredibly daunting, it can feel overwhelming, and yet we need to approach it with optimism and with energy. One of the things I've learned over the last 18 months whilst I've been working on Countdown is I've been continually inspired by just how much good stuff is actually happening. Millions of people are working on this across the world, from scientists and innovators to business people who are working to transform their companies, to city mayors, to local communities, and to individuals. We need to connect them all. We need to inspire others to join in. And we need to paint a picture of the beautiful future that's possible if we find the will and the courage to act. One of those people doing that work is Nigel Topping, and I'm thrilled to introduce Nigel to you today. Nigel is the high-level champion for climate action for COP26. That's the UN climate conference that is due to take place in Glasgow, Scotland in November this year. Nigel's role and responsibility includes convening and energizing business, finance, city leadership, state leadership, local communities, nonprofits, everyone to step up in this incredibly important moment and respond to climate change. So Nigel, a very big welcome. Thrilled to have you here.
To be with you. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed as you describe my role.
Well, exactly. It's everything except for the actual negotiations. So Nigel, tell us what are your hopes for COP26 and what does it mean for the world?
Well, first of all, I'm really excited to join this call. Just that opening video sequence with voices from all over the world, I was really touched by, right? And I think, Jay, this is, as you say, this is something we need the best of all of us. So my hopes for Glasgow, I mean, everybody here I'm sure knows the urgency of the challenge ahead of us. And I love the fact that we're all learning so fast that we're now talking very specifically about 50% by 2030. Like, it's like we've won the battle about everybody realizing we've got to get to zero by 2050. So let's just focus on the short-term action. So my hope for Glasgow is really that it's the moment that feels like we're acting with urgency and solidarity on climate change. And I use those words really carefully. That it's about the time for negotiations is over. I mean, really, the big negotiations were done in Paris. The framework was set, the process was set. There are still some things being negotiated, and they really matter because they're like the accounting rules, and it really matters that you know how to keep score. But the goal's been set, and in fact, we've already ratcheted it forward. So it really is about urgency, because we're just not doing anything like enough at the moment. And but the exciting thing is we know what to do, but there's so much that we can already do. And one of the things that's really amazed me is during this terrible pandemic, actually people have been stepping up on climate change more and more and more. It's like we've got our collective mojo together.
So, I mean, let's talk about that. We're in the midst of a terrible pandemic. People are suffering all over the world. The world's been turned upside down. And yet at the same time, we have to act on this huge long-term systemic challenge. This is a vital moment for climate. Can you give us a bit of a sense of some of the signs of progress? I mean, already the UN conference was delayed a year, and yet people have used that year, I think, incredibly constructively. Give us, what are some of the signs right now that we are making progress and that give you hope?
Well, I can give you macro progress, and I can pick three things that have happened in the last few days. So at the macro level, the biggest economies in the world are all agreeing that they're going to get to net zero by 2050 or sooner. That was not the case a year ago. So that's been a total sea change in national ambition. And we're seeing thousands of businesses, investors, cities, universities, sports clubs, regions, also making that commitment. So there's huge momentum. But what I also really pay attention to is the small stories that often get, and they never make the front line, right? Because the press, this is why this collective initiative of finding and celebrating the great ideas and the things that people are actually doing is so important, because it's an old saying in media that if it bleeds, it leads. So the media tends to focus on people who are not doing good things or conflicts. Just 3 things in the last few days. Just yesterday, a group of children won a court case against the German government, requiring the German government to ratchet its climate ambition. That's incredible. All right. The day before, this is just by accident, a big German utility company decided to scrap plans to build a gas terminal to provide gas for ships, and instead to produce a green hydrogen and green ammonia terminal. So they just flipped an investment decision to invest in hydrocarbons, in fossil fuels, and instead to invest in zero carbon future. So there's just little example. And Moody's, Moody's credit rating agency, they decide how much it costs to borrow money if you're a company by giving you a credit rating. 2 days ago, I think it was, they said credit is going to get squeezed for heavy emitting companies who don't have good plans. And that's to get to zero. And that's on the back of this huge initiative we launched with Mark Carney last week with $70 trillion of banks in it. So there's big signs and there's little signs every day.
Of course, part of your role is that you're a bridge, if you like, between the diplomats, between the national leaders and citizens everywhere. Give us a sense of why you're excited about the power of TEDx. I know as we come into the conference, the ability to say there are hundreds of events happening all over the world is an important marker for you. And I'd love you to bring that to life for people, why their role matters so much.
I've been working on this kind of nexus for a long time now, and I've really come very strongly to believe that we act very much based on our belief in what the future holds. So if we believe in an entirely bleak future and there's nothing we can do about it, then that leads to apathy or drawing up the drawbridge and populism and pointing the finger at others. If we believe that there's an exciting future that's possible and that is being built right now, then we start. The very fact that we start believing in that means we start acting towards that future. It's what George Soros calls our reflexive relationship with the future. So that means we need to tell great stories about the future, right? And those stories, you can tell great global stories, right? And so the countdown event in October will have some great global stories, but most of our lives are lived locally. And so that interplay between great global, broad canvas about how we're going to transform the automotive industry, but also, I just love seeing what's happening in Yemen. I mean, that's very different from New York, all right? Or what's happening in Halifax, Nova Scotia, or what's happening, there's so many people from places I think I'm quite worldly. I haven't even heard of all the places that you're from, right? So it has, and not everybody can feel. I mean, I'm very blessed because if I speak to governments, I feel a sense of agency on the international scale. Most people don't. It's about their school or their street or their company. So I think this sort of bridging of the macro and the micro and the telling of great story, all these great stories. I'm always in tears just listening to those great storytellers that you just had lined up at the beginning. And I know there's thousands of those. That's what's going to make us believe collectively that, yes, we can do this. And therefore we are going to do it.
Yes, I mean, today on this call, we've got representatives from schools, from universities, from communities, from nonprofits, and from business. Some of them have already decided that they're going to go ahead and host a TEDx Countdown event. Others, I'm sure, are still deciding. And it's a lift. They're going to have to do some work to make all of that happen. What would be your final message to those folk who might still be wavering about the kind of impact they can have, and maybe especially to the business people on the line? Because one of the things we want to do this year is to have many more companies host these kinds of events for their employees and build employee engagement.
I mean, if you're wavering, just jump. Right, this is a transition we have to make. So we will make it. The question is, will we do it fast enough to stop the worst of economic damage and human suffering? So if you're a business, join the race to zero. Find out how you can put on a countdown event. Get your staff involved. They'll love it. Get your suppliers and your customers involved. And if you're a TEDx organizer and you haven't decided yet, then jump as well. There's 600 did it last year. We should have many, many more. And you will influence the conversation and the belief and therefore the actions in your local community. But also these reverberate globally. I mean, Lindsay and Jay, you were telling me some stories about the way some of the countdown talks from last October have already been quoted around the world. And we will bring those voices into the COP, working with the countdown team, so that My dream would be that in every negotiating session where seasoned negotiators are negotiating over dry technical text, they walk into 60 seconds of that kind of video script and they realize that they're working on behalf of the whole world, and they get lifted up to finish the job that they've been called to Glasgow to do.
Nigel, thanks so much for making time for us today, and thanks for everything you're doing in the world. I know we all wish you every success, and we look forward to seeing you on the journey in the months to come. Huge thank you. I know you're going to stick around because you're excited to hear from
I'm staying around because this is like oxygen to me, just seeing how much great work you're all doing. So thank you.
Brilliant. Stay with us, and you may be able to answer some questions later. Thanks for being here, and back to you, Jay.
Thank you, Nigel. As you say, you've got a big job ahead, but we are on your side. We're going to be supporting you with as many stories as we can, and as many ideas and solutions. And as Nigel said, if you're in, great. If you're wavering, jump in. And so we're going to tell you, like, what does it take to organize your own TEDx Countdown event? Your event can be as simple or as elaborate as you want it to be. That is really the kind of the true beautiful thing about TEDx. There is no one template. We're going to provide you with all the training and all the tools that you need to assemble a compelling event of any size and any format. That's your choice. The event can take place literally in your living room if you'd like, with friends and family, but it could be a big gathering in a theater. It could be a virtual community gathering. Then you can invite thousands. If you're a company, if you're a business, you can create a virtual town hall that kind of blends our content with content from, and by that I mean ideas that we stage, with ideas that you have inside your own organization, that you can find a way to express and mix that into the programming. That's an opportunity to engage the workforce, launch new initiatives, and to kind of bring in a culture of sustainability into your own organization. What you do is simply select the talks that come out of the Countdown program, and then you decide whether you want to create a program entirely with a subset of the talks that we've created and the topics that we showcased and the ideas that we showcased, or you can blend in some of yours. The option is yours. The easier way is obviously just to amplify and showcase and edit. But if you'd like to curate and actually discover new ideas and record them and showcase them, that's great as well. This year, we're going to be sharing the talks with you early. For those of you who've done this last year, we know that this is important for you so that you'll have exclusivity for your local events. These talks will be shown for the first time. Well, they will be shown at your event before they're actually being publicly released. Lindsay, over to you.
Yeah, well, I just want to share a special word for those of you who are new to TEDx. TEDx is an amazing team. I've had the privilege of working with the folk at TED over the last 18 months. And this is an incredible network. And so if you're new to this, it's an amazing opportunity to step up and do something new, make new friends, participate in something really special. Wherever it is you come from, you're super welcome. There's a great team on hand to help you, to provide training, to provide resources, and really equip you to do a brilliant job. So I just want to say a big welcome and encourage people to step up. I also want to say a special word to the businesses on the line. I work a lot with companies. I have a strong sense of the challenge, actually, of the journey that you're on as you try to transform your businesses. And this is an incredible opportunity to get people engaged. Last year, we had 40 major global companies that participated in hosted events. We expect to have many, many more this year. The feedback from many was that it was one of the best ever employee engagement events that they'd held. And so just want to encourage you to kind of grab this moment. It's free of charge. We make a lot of resources available, and my colleague Mihika, who's also on the line, is available going forward to help you as you think about the design of your event. So welcome all, please join in, and back to you, Jay.
Thank you. Now, as I've mentioned, I think I used the word, the TEDx events are like a mosaic of a beautiful collection of events and gatherings, and each one is different. And we working at TED have the privilege of being able to see all of them as they pop up around the world. I know it is hard to imagine. So in order to give you a good sense of what these events could look like, we have a little bit of a treat. In fact, we have 3 little treats. We have 3 TEDx organizers who will share with us a very, very quick overview of the countdown event that they did last year. Waleed from TEDxSanaa in Yemen, Larissa from TEDxAlmaty in Kazakhstan, and David from TEDxVarese in Italy. Okay, so let me see, who do I've got here? Waleed, how are you? Thank you for joining us on what is a holiday as well for you. Tell us about, so this is a photo from last year's event. What are we looking at here?
That is the picture. I would like to give you a background on this image. You are seeing in Yemen, we are living and coping with the ongoing war for 7 years, and we have high humanitarian needs. But the event showed smart idea in using teams of countdown to tackle community needs and address them. This image represents one of the pre-actives that the team did before the event. We have chosen one of the pre-activities that the team did before the event, and we have chosen the place needed to fix. And we used the recycled item to change this place into a beautiful area people can spend a good time in. We took picture of that place before and after. This picture is before, and we shared it with the community during the event and in our social media pages. We even made small video of this process. We wanted to show the community that change is easy, but needs us to be smart with the environment. Also, we wanted to raise the awareness of the importance of saving the environment and the importance of contributing to the international community in Yemen.
Thank you. Wow, thank you, Waleed. So first of all, I know all the challenges that you're going through, existential challenges of a different kind that you're going through in Yemen. So the fact that your community is prioritizing this with everything that you're doing is incredibly meaningful. And to everyone listening, what Waleed is describing is the pre-event activation. So every TEDx event has programming on stage, but there's an opportunity to create different activations the day before, the day after, the hours before, the hours after, and kind of bring certain ideas to life. So here, it's this idea of you being able to use recycled materials to create a space, and then also leveraging that by moving on to social media. That really grows the halo and the impact of your community. Waleed, so wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's invite Larissa from TEDx Kazakhstan to join us. Hi, Larissa.
Hi.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you for inviting me. So the brief, I guess I should walk you through the picture we're seeing now.
Yeah, please
right?
do.
So we did a hybrid event, meaning that we have pre-recorded our speakers and our art program, our musicians, and we have coincided it with the global stream in the studio, doing at the same time the live stream. So basically we had like a studio operating three different setups: the live studio, the pre-recorded talks, and the live stream. And also, because we are a bilingual country, we have made a separate 2 language streams in Zoom, so Russian and Kazakh. So in the photo, you're seeing me and my co-host. He's also Askat Yerkimbay. He's also a TED translator and a member of the team, co-curator. So we are basically introducing each talk, and behind us there is art exhibition, which is made to the theme of the countdown. Basically, for example, one of the pictures is made of the plastic bags, recycled plastic bags, and also you can see the ice structure, which is homage to Olafur Eliasson, meaning that as we are speaking, the ice is melting, and by the end of the event, the ice melted, basically, not all, but at least half. And also you can see our director, who is on the left of the picture. She is wearing a mask because it's a pandemic, and she is basically controlling everything. And also at the background, you can observe our video crew. Yeah, so that's how we managed it. We've introduced a lot of comments from the audience. We had separate moderators for different rooms, and they could all discuss it, put questions. And during the events, we were voicing those questions and we were connecting them to the talks. That's how we ran.
Thank you for that. So again, for those of you who are first to looking at TEDx events, creativity and design, how you think about the design of the stage, the art you bring in is always part of the story and kind of can bring in and make the messages and the ideas very real. TEDxAlmaty is always doing spectacular events, large scale, very, very creative. Thanks for being a part of Countdown. Good to see you. And now let's move on to talk to David. David from TEDxVarese in Italy. I see you, David. How are you? Tell us about this picture.
Hi, Jay. Hello, everybody. Well, this photo is very special to me because it's linked with the main lessons we learned with the TEDxVarese Countdown. So thanks to the idea of one speaker of ours, the city of Varese decided to plant 250 new trees in different neighborhoods in order to mitigate locally the effects of climate change and enrich urban biodiversity. Here we are planting the first one. So the first lesson learned is with countdown events, the connection between ideas and action is so impressive and powerful. The second lesson is this: Countdown license is one of the most powerful tools TED gives to its community in order to address a global crisis with local activism based on good ideas. And the news is it works. Here in Varese, we gathered city representatives in order to proactively address the climate crisis with local concrete solutions. For example, we helped companies to shape their pathways towards sustainability. We held brainstormings with local scientists and policymakers in order to set priorities, and we engaged the students with discussions on sustainability. The third and final lesson is the one I care about the most. Countdown is a powerful engine to strengthen a sense of community and to collaborate on effective solutions. Here in Italy, as a united community, we organized many events in the same period with a relay format in order to generate a bigger impact. This is important to me to say because I like so much the idea to celebrate the collaborative approach among organizers in Italy. And yesterday, I asked to all the Italian community to describe their countdown experience, and these are the words they have chosen: cooperation, opportunity, energy, care, awareness, hope, respect, future, revolution, union, tenacity, choice, and responsibility.
Wow, beautiful, David. Thank you. Thank you to all of the TEDx organizers in Italy who have contributed to share these words with us. A little bit, I want to refer to a couple of things you said. First of all, for those of you who have not been a part of the TEDx community yet, one of the biggest benefits of joining in, well, one of the unexpected benefits, because we don't lead with it, but becoming a part of the TEDx community and becoming a TEDx organizer, you begin this connection with other TEDx organizers, either in your country or in similar businesses like yours, or people around the world who share similar values. And the level of connection that happens is really incredible, and by itself is just a beautiful thing. David, some of the things that you're highlighting here are so powerful. I'm not going to talk about all of them because you did a better job than me. But this concept of taking ideas and converting them into local action, it's really powerful. It's really inherent in what this is all about. And for all of you who are thinking about how can I be creative, TEDx organizers, once you become one, and if you are one already, it's all about the creativity of thinking, how am I going to get this message across? So it's unlikely that if you're not creative with your activations and your designs, that you'll be having success bringing in city officials and community members together. But if you're thinking really creatively about what you do, it really elevates and the opportunity for you to make an impact, as we've seen here. So David, thank you for the great work. Thank you to all three of you. David, Larissa, Waleed in Italy, Kazakhstan, and Yemen. Thank you. And you know, every time I see this, this is like so inspiring to no end for me to see the work that gets done by TEDxers around the world. And you can be a part of this as well. Let me see. All right, we're getting ready to go into the question and answer session. I'm going to just give you kind of a couple points of kind of heads up on what's coming your way to help you make your event successful. I promised that we were going to give you all the resources after you sign up, or I should say, like, you know, when you sign up. So two things in particular: training. We have a great team standing by, already prepared a lot of the stuff. They'll create virtual sessions about how you organize a great virtual event or an in-person event or a hybrid event. This, by the way, will be a great skill of something to know, you know, period. Once you register, you'll be looking out for a message from us with a how-to, about how-to training sessions. And then we do a deep dive. If you want to curate your own talks, we'll do a deep dive on really coaching you how to find the best ideas, how to coach the speakers, how to stage them. That's kind of like the art of TED and TEDx. And then we'll be providing you toolkits. The toolkits are really, really cool because it's basically your entire look and design of your event ready-made for you. You will have a host guide. There will be discussion topics and program details, design templates, design identity graphics, all of that stuff. So you can deploy that with a bit of help in virtual spaces, digital spaces, as well as physical spaces. I think that's it for me, and from Lindsay. I think we're ready for Q&As. I guess Caroline will invite you back. Caroline?
Yes. Okay. So many great questions. And before we go to that, I wanted to mention a quick, really beautiful example of the impact that Countdown has already had. Lindsay and Jay, you're familiar with this story. It's a story from Roman Zarnik. He gave a talk at the Countdown launch called How to Be a Good Ancestor, talking about intergenerational and climate justice. And just a few days ago from today, the Supreme Court of Pakistan issued a new legal ruling on a key climate change case where the court had ruled against the expansion of cement industry due to its damaging climate impacts. And so, as you'll see in the extract, the court's judgment explicitly referred to Roman's TED Talk and quoted verbatim several sentences from it and even printed the URL. We are so humbled by this example. I mean, it's like exhilarating to even say something like that out loud. And we can only imagine the examples of this that would multiply, you know, with all of the events that'll take place this year. So I wanted to kind of frame the Q&A section with that beautiful anecdote.
It's a phenomenal example, and it's so unique that that is a Supreme Court decision actually quotes verbatim from a TED Talk. But when I saw this, I also thought of something else. I thought of all the other TED Talks that we have staged already on this subject, and that you will stage, and that we will stage together, and that you will amplify, that will get into people's brains who are in decision-making positions. And when these people are not going to they're not going to quote the TED Talk in their decisions, but it's influencing people's way of thinking in many ways. When we know it and when we don't know it, but when we have examples of like documented that kind of really makes a difference. So delightful to see when we can make the direct link, but there's many times when we know the indirect link has happened as well. Thank you, Caroline.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so first question is for, I think you, Jay, maybe also you, Lindsay, really anyone who wants to chime in. It's a question from Yamina about balancing coming together and gathering with emissions itself. You know, all of us as humans, we have a footprint just by being here, and how we exist and how we gather. And we're wondering how TED is thinking about that as we come together in all the different ways, both virtually and together.
It's a really great question. I mean, one of the things that's happened in the past year, of course, is we've stopped a huge chunk of air travel. and a huge chunk of our movement around the world. And that has seen a drop in global emissions, but nothing like what we need overall. And so, you know, we're not going to solve climate change by stopping traveling and stopping meeting. At the same time, we need to be super thoughtful about it. We created last year's virtual program with only one short haul flight. We filmed in 20 plus countries. We had 32 filmmakers and so forth. And you all, those of you who organized events, did that with an incredibly low footprint. So there's a balancing issue here. I think human beings need to stay in connection. And actually, the problem of climate change touches upon every facet of our economy, not just travel. So I would encourage that we don't go to a mindset where we can never travel to meet one another. But at the same time, a part of the power of TEDx is that people can meet locally. And, you know, one of the reasons we want to have numerous events happening all over the world is that so that somebody can go by bicycle, you know, somebody can walk, somebody can make a short journey and then be part of an event. So I would say it's all about balance, but human beings, we need to stay connected. We need to know one another and know one another's lives, frankly, in order to appreciate the humanity that we share.
Well,
yeah, I will just add to that, double down on this, gather locally and create stories and solutions and that will travel globally without an airplane. You know, like with that's the beauty of this, is because when the TEDx community creates talks and ideas, they do spread on their own without physical travel.
Yeah, we've all learned so much about this in the past year, and we reached, you know, 60 odd million people already with last year's content that wouldn't have happened if it had just been a physical event. So we're all learning, right? And we're moving into this kind of hybrid world.
well said. Now I have a question. I'm wondering if David Mammano from TEDxVarese, if you'd be willing to pop on and answer this, because it's a question for TEDx organizers, which is, how do you successfully promote your TEDx Countdown event? David, are you by chance available to share with us?
Yes, sure. Well, we basically used our digital channels, and so in example, newsletter, social media, but also local newspaper, in order to say that something special was arriving, and it was something related to saving our planet. So this created the momentum of attention and engagement, and so the community response was really exciting and big.
Thank you, David. Yeah, your social media campaign was beautiful. And all of the TEDx events featured here, and so many others are as well. I really appreciate that invite.
And then Caroline, I wonder if you can give a very quick snapshot of like the guides that we have. I know we have ready-made guides on how to market your event, so maybe you can allude to those on the TEDx Hub.
That's absolutely right. And we had a question from an organizer in the chat just now about digital promotion and digital graphics versus print, which is a really important question. Of course, the primary way that we're promoting all kinds of events right now. So for Countdown, we have something called a design kit. And they are ready-made graphics that anyone can customize. All you need is maybe a free trial of Adobe Suite or some kind of other design service that allows you to quickly edit and put the name of your event into this broader design identity that we've made for you. We have sign templates, we have digital graphics for everything, your Facebook banner, your email, your Instagram story, GIFs. So look out for a design kit coming soon, which will help you promote. And the biggest thing to remember in promoting is don't be shy to do it. Keep it going. Be consistent after your event. It keeps your community close to your event and keeps the purpose flowing, and will really help you sell out quickly, whatever way you choose to activate. I think those are the big parameters. Jay, Lindsay, what else would you like to add as we come to a close?
Yeah, I would just add something about science. You know, we're at an amazing moment in the world in terms of action on this. People are waking up en masse to the problem. There is, I think, a new level of determination and focus. It's like right in front of us. And also there's tremendous progress being made in all sorts, in material science, in technology, in all sorts of ways. We're at a moment of incredible progress. So I would encourage you to tap into that. And if you're looking for help around making sure that what you're sharing is scientifically based, is true and reliable, our team can help you with that and point you in the right direction.
Thank you, Lindsay. Excellent point. And I would like to maybe just wrap up with gratitude. I'm feeling so much of it right now. I'd like to thank Nigel for joining us and our partnership and alliance with you and COP26. It makes a big difference that we know so much of the work that we do will be seen and heard and be infused into the work that you're doing with global leaders. To the three organizers who joined us to share their story, to you, Lindsay, my co-host, and all the work that you do, you devote your career and your team's work to doing this. Everybody on the call, the TEDx organizers who have already organized Countdown, those of you who are planning on doing this, those of you who are new and are considering joining us, which now based on what Nigel said, you just stopped waffling and you jumped in, so welcome. And to everybody working together to make it work. I was feeling optimistic at the beginning of this call, but like my level of enthusiasm and energy is like so different already in this 1 hour. Let's go do this. We can do it. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to see how this comes out. So thank you, everybody around the world.